Good evening, everybody. In the news at 11 tonight, San Diego police are on the scene of a violent assault at a downtown motel.
But several brave citizens take the suspect down. I'm John Soderman, have a story.
There remains a large divide tonight over the proposed Z visas for illegal immigrants. We'll have more on the battle that's raging on both sides of the new plan. England's Prince Harry will not be serving alongside his fellow soldiers in Iraq, and now the British military is putting its foot down about the prince's social life during that time. And Donald Trump says, "I quit." The news at 11 starts right now.
The KUSI News at 11 is live now.
I'm Paul Bloom.
And I'm Kimberly Hunt. Thank you for joining us tonight.
We begin now with breaking news out of Pacific Beach. San Diego firefighters still at the scene investigating what they believe was an arson fire that broke out a short time ago. 5 cars caught fire on Santa Fe Street near Damon Avenue just after 10 o'clock tonight. Firefighters were able to contain the blaze before it spread to nearby power lines. There were no injuries reported and no idea yet who might have caused it. In other news, it was a sudden attack. 2 women cornered in a downtown motel. But the man who tried to sexually assault them got more than he bargained for as citizens came to the rescue. KUSI's John Soderman live downtown with more on that story. John?
Paul, while what happened today was undeniably horrible here at this motel, the fact is there were some heroes involved. A most barbaric attack by a sexual assault suspect inside the lobby of this Motel 6 on 2nd Avenue in downtown San Diego. Late Friday afternoon, a suspect enters the lobby, leaps over the counter, and begins to sexually assault a female employee. Another female employee tries to intervene, and the suspect goes after her as well.
Tried to go after 2 women?
Correct. But as horrible as this incident was, there was also some heroism involved. That's because several citizens came to the victim's rescue and courageously took the suspect down.
They subdued the suspect. They fought the suspect and got him into custody.
One of the women escapes and notifies nearby business owners about what is happening in the lobby. They bravely confront the suspect and in a knockdown, drag-out fight that spills into an adjacent laundry room, take the suspect down until police arrive. The suspect is hurt so badly he has to be admitted to the hospital. And the women, while traumatized emotionally, are also physically injured. It is an incident that leaves motel guests shaken.
We didn't even know what was going on. We had just heard, I guess, somebody was raped or something here. That's pretty scary to me.
Now, earlier tonight, I talked to the Motel 6 headquarters in Texas, and they assure me they're going to do everything to help these women get through this ordeal, not just physically, but, of course, emotionally. We're coming to you live from downtown. John Soderman, KUSI News.
A San Diego man was sentenced to 50 years in prison today for shooting his own mother to death. 42-year-old Matthew Lowry was convicted of first-degree murder nearly a year ago for killing 55-year-old Claudia Bomer at her Fallbrook home. Lowry had been fighting with her over the inheritance and the custody of his son in the weeks leading up to her murder. Continuing now with more local news, today marks the 2-year anniversary of an unsolved murder in Spring Valley. The victim's family is pleading for someone to come forward with new information. 37-year-old Jim Slusser was last seen alive on May 18, 2005. 3 days later, Slusser's body was found in the bed of a burning pickup truck. The victim's stepfather spoke to KUSI in 2005 about the tremendous pain the murder had caused.
It's just absolutely devastating to our family, to his sister, his father, my wife and myself, all of his aunts and uncles. It's just a devastating situation. There's no, you can't describe what it does to you. I just could not have imagined anything this horrible.
Slusser's parents say their son was a good man and a good father who simply fell into the wrong crowd. They're asking anyone with information to call Crime Stoppers at 888-580-TIPS.
A driver's temper caused a collision that backed up traffic for miles on Interstate 8 today. It happened about 2 o'clock this afternoon. CHP officers say the driver of an SUV got angry at a woman on the entrance ramp to Highway 8 at Grossmont Boulevard, so he slammed on his brakes in front of her, and she rear-ended her car in the SUV with enough impact to roll it over. Her sedan skidded onto the freeway and struck the side of a transit bus, rupturing its gas tank. The woman and the SUV driver were both injured. Well, they're old enough to risk their lives for their country, but not old enough to drink alcohol. Tonight, a new rule U.S. Marines have in effect. As young as 18 years old now can drink alcohol on the base. KUSI's Sasha Fu has more on the issue that has everyone talking.
Back from battle and ready to celebrate, Marines under the age of 21 are now allowed to drink on base.
If they can go overseas, they can lose their lives. You know what? Why can't they go on base and drink?
The Marine Corps quietly lowered the base drinking age last month, allowing its 18 to 20-year-olds to drink during, quote, justified special circumstances and after what's called arduous military duty. A spokesperson for Marine Corps Commandant General James Conway says this change in policy doesn't mean a green light for unsupervised underage drinking.
There's probably a ton of different stipulations involved with it.
Eric Joseph is a 30-year-old Marine gunnery sergeant who thinks the lower drinking age may keep Marines from reveling over the border in Tijuana.
I think that it would definitely cut down on that. Definitely cut down from going down to Mexico.
If they can old enough to get shot at, to get killed for their country, they should be able to drink.
Mike Bentley, a 22-year-old Lance Corporal, also thinks young Marines can handle their liquor responsibly.
I most definitely think we can keep that restricted onto base.
This is a health and safety issue. It's not an age issue.
But Pat Hodgkins with the group Mothers Against Drunk Driving says the new policy raises some serious questions, such as how the military commanders will monitor their Marines' safety.
Before the drinking age was 21, when it was 18, driving crashes, fatalities were significantly greater. So we want to make sure that anyone under the age 21 is protected, and I would ask them, how would they ensure their safety?
Oceanside resident Lynn Johnson doesn't think anyone under the legal drinking age of 21 should be given license to drink.
I feel the longer that a person stays away from alcohol, the better.
Bartender John Stevens has other ideas.
I've stood out on that sidewalk and talked to Marines who've done 3 tours in Iraq and are 20, and they're not allowed in a bar.
If it were his call, Stevens says he'd serve anyone with a military ID.
If somebody walked in here with the military ID, 18 years old, I have faith that that person has enough maturity. These kids have earned that right.
Sasha Fu, KUSI News.
Construction of the Sun Road building in Kearney Mesa came to an abrupt halt today. Mayor Jerry Sanders ordered all work stopped because the Federal Aviation Administration calls the building an aviation hazard. KUSI's Steve Bosch has the details.
Building in question is the one you see behind me. Now, in the spring of last year, Sun Road was warned its 180-foot-tall building was 20 feet higher than the FAA's height limit. Last summer, Sun Road agreed to restrict that building to 160 feet. But then a month later, it informed the FAA the building would be 180 feet and proceeded to add 2 floors. The city attorney sued. Last October, the city issued a stop work order but eased it and allowed Sun Road to weatherize the top 2 floors. In December, Jim Waring, the mayor's land use czar, said this is a fight between the FAA and Sun Road. The city should remain spectators, not actors in this. Today, the mayor became an actor.
We allowed them to seal the building so that the weather didn't damage anything inside. Obviously, in retrospect, we probably should have stopped work on all of it immediately.
The mayor sent letters to the FAA and Caltrans, which also warned the city and Sun Road about the height limit, that he supports the city attorney's lawsuit against Sun Road. He ordered his chief operating officer to investigate the city's reaction or lack thereof to concerns about the height limit and admitted mistakes were made.
Mistakes were clearly made within my administration regarding this project. Once again, I take responsibility for those.
The city attorney filed suit last December to force Sun Road to comply with the FAA's height limit. He says the top 2 floors need to come down.
You can see that there's still a substantial amount of construction remaining to complete the top 20 feet, and the mayor has now put a stop to that.
The mayor said Sun Road, by its actions, has not been operating in good faith.
It appears that Sun Road knew of the FAA's admonitions last summer and intentionally ignored their direction to limit the building to 160 feet in height.
Sanders also admitted there were failures on the city's part, too.
We made some errors, I made some errors in this, and that's the reason I'm accepting responsibility.
The mayor also says the city will abide by FAA regulations. I'm Steve Bosch, KUSI News.
Earlier tonight on the KUSI News at 6, we spoke with a local pilot who's also an attorney, Gerald Blank. He says the current Sun Road building at 180 feet would lead to a disaster.
The weather patterns that exist when you use that flight path are such that a pilot could come out of the clouds and find himself facing that building head-on and really being in a dangerous situation by building higher than they were.
Mary Juris Sanders has also called for an investigation into the city's actions regarding that entire Sun Road building height.
More anger tonight over the proposed path to citizenship for millions of illegal immigrants.
We'll have more on the divide over those so-called Z visas.
The Canadian Air Force suffered a tragic loss today during rehearsals for an air show. What witnesses saw as the snowbird crashed.
And actress Elizabeth Taylor has a controversial piece of art in her collection, and now a court has told her if she's going to be allowed to keep it.
I love Friday nights. It's the weekend, baby. You're goofing off and staying up late, and we're here for you. And our weekend is right ahead. The KUSI Sky Eye Chopper gets a nice close-up view of the Wave House out there at Mission Beach. That's interesting. Stay with us for San Diego's best 11 o'clock news.
If you've been charged with a DUI or criminal offense, please remember Pacific Law Center. Experienced, aggressive trial attorneys right here in San Diego with affordable payments. Call us right now, 1-800-508-0000.
It's an offer that's out of this world. Pay no sales tax and pay absolutely nothing for 1 full year. And we'll pay your sales tax at More Furniture for Less. No down payment, no interest, and no monthly payments for 1 full year. And we'll pay your sales tax today, tonight, and tomorrow, 10 a.m. till 9 p.m. at More Furniture for Less.
When I was falsely accused of a crime, I got very nervous. I called Pacific Law Center and was very happy with the results. I believe that they can help you too.
For an experienced attorney, call right now, 1-800-508-0000.
You're watching the KUSI News at 11. San Diego's More local news station. Paul Bloom, Kimberly Hunt, John Coleman Weather, Michael Turco, and Paul Rudy Sports. This is the KUSI News at 11.
The Senate's new immigration reform bill is already facing bipartisan opposition on Capitol Hill. Supporters call it a path to citizenship for millions of illegal immigrants. Critics are calling it amnesty. The draft version of the new bill is hundreds of pages long and reads like a legal document. The White House is pressing Republicans to back the legislation.
We have to solve the problem, and we can't be sitting here for the next several years debating the word amnesty.
But conservatives aren't lining up.
Conservatives feel like they were betrayed. We've been talking for the past few years about comprehensive immigration reform. We've been talking about it not containing amnesty.
In the draft legislation, illegal immigrants would be given immediate legal status through a Z visa. They can bring in their children, spouses, and parents and eventually seek a green card and citizenship. A guest worker program allows an additional 400,000 low-skilled workers into the U.S.
I'm not going to vote for any bill that's got amnesty in it, and this bill's got plenty of amnesty in it.
It's not just Republicans voicing concerns.
But I intend to try to strike the guest worker or temporary worker provisions. We don't need millions of additional people coming into this country for low wages.
And there are loopholes and waivers. For example, the Department of Homeland Security Secretary can approve a waiver to allow illegal immigrants to bring in additional family members, quote, for humanitarian purposes or to ensure family unity.
For just about every rule, there is a massive exception. The exception a lot of times is bigger than the rule. So yeah, there are loopholes everywhere you look. in the bill.
With a hefty document and little time for scrutiny, many more loopholes may not be realized until after the vote. And on Monday, the Senate will begin debating that bill. The House will come up with its own version during the summer.
Chaos broke out in the streets of Gaza today. Palestinian security officials say an Israeli airstrike targeted a car traveling in northern Gaza City, killing 3 people. As you can see, a huge crowd of people jumped in to try to get the flames out. At least 11 other people were killed in earlier airstrikes from Israeli planes. Some officials are accusing Israel of taking advantage of 6 days of fighting, but Israel says it's just defending its citizens. An attack on a U.S. military base near Baghdad has left 6 insurgents dead. And in 2 separate attacks today, 5 American soldiers were killed, bringing the death toll of U.S. military members killed in the war to 3,408. Meantime, the massive search continues for 3 missing U.S. soldiers believed to be captured by al-Qaeda insurgents. Military officials are hoping that local residents will lead them to the missing men. They disappeared following an early morning ambush 1 week ago.
The White House rejected another Iraq war funding bill today. Democrats had offered to remove billions of dollars in domestic spending from that bill, but in return, they wanted Mr. Bush to accept the timetable to pull troops out of Iraq. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said she's disappointed by the outcome.
So it is clear that the difference between the Democrats and the president is the issue of accountability. He will not accept any accountability or responsibility for what is happening there.
President Bush has said he won't accept any timetables as part of a bill for funding the war. Britain's Prince Harry has been advised to behave himself for the next 6 months. The prince was already told on Wednesday that he would not be going with his squadron to Iraq. And now British military leaders are advising him not to be seen in London nightclubs while his fellow soldiers are in the war zone. They gave Harry a pep talk about why the public would find it unacceptable to see photos of him partying. The prince apparently said that he fully understands.
A Canadian Forces snowbird jet crashed at a Montana air base, killing the pilot. 31-year-old Canadian Captain Sean McCoffey was killed this afternoon when his plane went down during an air show rehearsal.
They were going right in front of us, and the 5th one just pulled back, and he went right on top of everybody else. And right when he did, he went down, and the 4 kept going, and then we just saw smoke and fire. And we thought it was like part of the routine or something, and it wasn't.
The cause of the crash is still unknown. Air show organizers are still unsure if the snowbirds will perform this weekend. For the first time in weeks, gas prices are actually falling here in San Diego, barely. The Utilities Consumer Action Network, or UCAN, says the average price for a gallon of regular unleaded is $3.49 in San Diego. That's a drop of about 2 cents from last week's record levels. A spokesman for UCAN credits a congressional investigation into gas prices for the slight drop.
John Coleman's all gassed up for the weekend.
It's like there are 2 San Diegos. There's the one along the I-5 corridor to the shore, where it stays cloudy all day long, at least has the last 4 days. And then from the I-15 corridor to the east, to the mountains and up to the desert, everything turns sunny and bright and beautiful. And so you can go where you want and pick your weather. If you like the gray, head for the beach. If you like the sunshine, head for the valleys or mountains. The KUSI weather cam at Lindbergh Field at 11 o'clock finds cloudy, overcast, 61 degrees. The relative humidity is at 75%, and the breeze is southwest at 5. These are the so-called high temps along the shore today. 66 downtown, for instance, but it was up to a sunny 74 in Lakeside. And here you can see the satellite view of the clouds pulling back to the coast, but hanging there all day, while the clouds really shrink to the north of us over Ventura and LA counties, and it gives you some kind of hope. But if you look at the supercomputer forecast weather maps for tomorrow morning and tomorrow evening and Sunday noon, there's no change. So you just have to wait each day for the clouds to break, and then you can celebrate. start. Now here is what most of the country is thinking about. Sunshine for the weekend, and it is almost everywhere. There are some showers breaking out in the Rockies, a little hint of a monsoon, eastern Arizona and in New Mexico. And to the east, almost everybody is clear, but there will be a lot of clouds over New England and some rain. It was down to 27 in Presque Isle this morning, up to 110 in Death Valley this afternoon, and the heaviest rain was at Hyannis, Massachusetts, about 2¼ inches. The biggest storms are up in North Dakota. Some severe thunderstorms have been reported there tonight. My KUSI forecast for Sleep Late Saturday. Morning clouds will break inland and cling on at the coast. I'm not too hopeful for any sunshine at the beach. 69 Lindbergh, 80 El Cajon, 78 in gorgeous Julian, 99 dry heat at Borrego Springs. Sunday should be a little sunnier, a little earlier at most spots. And next week looks as though the marine layer will begin to ease up. But don't count on too much. I've been disappointed all week, and I don't want to set myself up to be disappointed next week. I'm already edgy.
Really?
But I'm also giddy because it's Friday.
All right.
Interesting combination.
Yeah, we'll see in a few minutes.
Thanks, John. A judge has ruled that actress Elizabeth Taylor can keep a Van Gogh painting that may have been taken by the Nazis during World War II. The 75-year-old Taylor bought the painting called View of the Asylum and Chapel at San Remi at Sotheby's auction in London in 1963. The family says that they once owned it, are descendants of a woman who fled Germany in 1939. They had sued Elizabeth Taylor and said that it should be returned to them. But the judge ruled they had waited too long to claim the painting.
His reality show popularized the phrase, "You're fired," but Donald Trump said that he quits from The Apprentice. Trump issued a statement on Friday saying that he's moving on from The Apprentice to a major new TV venture. The Apprentice, which made Trump a television star, has aired in 21 different countries, but the show received low ratings this season. Trump did not say what his next venture would be, but television executives say that it's something that Apprentice fans would tune in for.
Some Washington lawmakers are looking into whether the Food and Drug Administration is doing enough to protect Americans.
Still ahead, what they're proposing to ward off any future food contamination.
In light of current gas prices, you might see this as the glass half empty. Not surprisingly, Honda drivers tend to see it as the glass half full. Honda, the most fuel-efficient auto company in America.
Get APR financing as low as 2.9% on select Honda models for well-qualified buyers.
Ashley Furniture Home Store's Memorial Day event is on now. The best selection, the best styles, the best values in America. Buy this sofa, $495. Buy this bed, $375. Buy this dining set, $695. Purchase your furniture today and pay no interest till June 2012. Or 1 year no interest and pay no sales tax. For the best values in America, come in today. Ashley Furniture Home Store. You're gonna love this Memorial Day event.
Watching the KUSI News at 11.
With four-wheel independent suspension and a 24-valve double overhead cam, it has the agility of a sports car without actually being one. The 275 horsepower FX, the SUV inspired by sports car design. From Infiniti. Now lease an Infiniti FX35 for $349 a month.
KUSI News, brought to you by Infiniti.
A tiny creature is wreaking havoc on the San Diego City School District. It's called a fairy shrimp, and groups of them are on the endangered species list. Their habitat is located at the site of a much-needed elementary school. The fairy shrimp have delayed construction for at least 3 more years. Sauk Elementary was scheduled to open last year, but the district has just informed parents and community members it will be 2010 at the earliest.
We've heard the community loud and clear that they want to be able to have their children or grandchildren, in the case of some that have been there for 20 years, attend this school.
The district is working with both the city and the Federal Fish and Wildlife Service. A new habitat may be created nearby for those endangered shrimp. A meeting will be held next Monday at the Mira Mesa Library to discuss the issue.
Some lawmakers are questioning whether the Food and Drug Administration is doing enough to keep contaminated foreign food out of America. A law requiring country of origin labels has been pushed back twice and is still not in effect. And now some states are taking on their own. Kitty Pilgrim reports.
Chinese additives, tainted spinach, E. coli contamination. But the current FDA commissioner says the inspection system is adequate.
I disagree that our food system is broken.
The chairman of the committee questioning the competency of the agency.
In all these cases, we know that incompetent government can have deadly consequences.
In recent years, the budget has been cut, the FDA staff reduced, and few officials stay at the job at the troubled agency.
The turnover and the short-term commissioners in recent years has been scandalous.
But some of the congressional panel questioned the money-solves-all approach to increasing the agency's $1.5 billion budget.
And I believe that unless we devise a system where people individually are held responsible at every step of the way for a certain level of performance, that no amount of money is going to create the kind of system you're talking about.
One problem, much of the imported food is eaten in a raw or fresh state, increasing the risk of potential contamination. China, with few internal safety checks on its own food supply, is the third largest food exporter to the United States. And with FDA inspections on less than 2% of imports, some companies ignore rules and hope they don't get caught. Within the FDA, food safety gets less attention than drug approvals.
Food safety has been a second-tier priority within the FDA.
The volume of imports keeps growing, doubling since the year 2000, and some domestic producers only get an FDA visit once every 5 to 10 years. Kitty Pilgrim, CNN.
Now we have sports and Paul Rudy. Paul Rudy is just a hardworking man. You know?
Hey,
He's been
how you doing?
putting it all together. Hi.
Thank you. Coming up in sports, the Pods and Mariners are at Safeco. We'll have highlights to prove it to you. Playoff hoops coming your way and prep coverage like you'll find only on KUSI. It's all next in sports.
KUSI News, brought to you by Nissan.
Introducing the Nissan Sentra. Completely redesigned from the inside out, front to back.
Waiting for the biggest furniture event of the season? It's here. The Thomasville Memorial Day Sale. Dining rooms that welcome. Living rooms to inspire. Elegant bedrooms and more. Great design and Thomasville quality that will last and last at sale prices that won't. Hurry in. The wait is over. Visit us in Mission Valley and San Marcos and enjoy no interest and no payments till 2008.
Okay, class, let's go. 1, 2, up, 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 arriba, there you go. Abajo, turn, keep turning. Here we go again, left, right, 1, 2, 1, 2, vamos. Up, down, up, abajo, arriba, muy bien. And take a deep breath. Stretch all those músculos. Y ya.
Pod starting interleague play in the Emerald City. The Moose should have told you the park is closed. To Safeco we go. You know, San Diego skyline's the best, but Seattle's is a decent runner-up, don't you think? Bottom of 3. Chris Young's given up a run, but he'll get Richie Sexton to end the inning. Seattle leads 1-0 in the 4th. Pods score 3, thanks in part to Adrian Beltre's boot at 3rd. And then, of course, the hottest bat in the San Diego lineup, Kevin Kuzminoff. After enduring a tough April, the Crushing Russian is proving Kevin Towers right. He hits the 2-run double. Bottom of 4, Mike Cameron's bid for a 4th Gold Glove, being hindered by that hiccup right there. But Pods get out of the inning with no damage done. In the 8th, the other third baseman, Russell Branyan, swinging the big stick. He's the designated hitter, 8th of the lineup, no less, and he still makes the tarp in right center. And the Pods enjoy an 8-run explosion. We go to the board. The final score, 8-1. San Diego. Okay, Spurs and Suns, Game 6 at AT&T. Commissioner David Stern hoping the Suns can win so he can get off the hot seat. At first, it looks good. Steve Nash to Amari Stoudemire right there. But the Spurs know that they cannot allow this series to get back to Phoenix, and the three-point shooters start shooting. Bruce Bowen right there, then Manu Ginobili. Ginobili unstoppable in this game. Bring on the Utah Jazz for San Antonio. That's who they'll face in the Western Conference Finals. The final score, 114-106. Commissioner Stern, look what you've done. Cavs blew a chance to clinch at home against the Nets, so now they have to do it at New Jersey's place. That is a pretty bounce pass, don't you think, Jason Kidd? He's the Steve Nash of the East nowadays. But with LeBron James in foul trouble, Danielle Marshall that shoots Cleveland out of any trouble. He hit 6 3-pointers. The final score, 88-72. The Cavs will get Detroit next. How about a little playoff badminton? Mission Bay taking on Hoover at the Balboa Badminton Arena. Girls top seeded singles. Mission Bay's Tu Yen Tran defeats Tin Win in straight sets. In the boys top seeded singles final, Hoover's Trong Win defeats Tu Wan Fan also in straight sets. And then we're in doubles now. Boys doubles. Hoover's team of Win and Fawn helped the Cardinals take their 7th title in the past 9 years. And remember, you saw it exclusively on KUSI Sports. Our first D1 boys volleyball semifinal takes us to Carlsbad. The Lancers taking on the Mavericks of LCC. The Lancers, Sam Russell with 35 assists and Connor Gorget with 17 kills. Connor leading Carlsbad to a straight game win over LCC. The Lancers get the winner of this one. Torrey Pines and Rancho Bernardo, a couple of Palomar League foes getting at it. Alex Scataragia. The story of this one, Alex with the touch. Scataragia is tricky too, and Scataragia is powerful as well. Scataragia leads the Broncos into that match with Carlsbad. The Broncos win it in 4. Scataragia.
Yeah.
The weekend is upon us.
Good job, Paul. Thank you. Coming up, it was a first for a high school in Fresno.
We'll show you what made this prom queen so unique.
Saturday and Good Morning San Diego will show you some cool Corvettes and tell you where you can check out the Plastic Fantastic event this weekend. Then don't let a pimple or rash ruin your formal events. We'll tell you about a free hotline that has fantastic skin tips. And they met on the sidewalks of Ocean Beach and formed a band. Hear a live performance from the husband and wife team, Podunk Nowhere. And more than 100 teams are facing off. Will be live for the Beach Soccer Championship tournaments. Wake up with us Saturday at 6 on Good Morning San Diego.
Your San Diego Hyundai dealers are revving up the savings this weekend. The race to savings is on at your San Diego Hyundai dealers. Be a winner in a safe, fuel-efficient new Sonata, just $199 a month. Get an all-new 2007 Santa Fe for just $249 a month. Or get 0% interest on new Hyundais, all with America's best warranty. Fast track, hot savings. The race to savings is heating up at your San Diego Hyundai dealers.
Make every day a Hyundai. For fun on the run, make it a Hyundai.
Mr. Big Stuff. Papa John's Grand Papa Pizza.
Oh, yeah.
Big on taste and 30% bigger than our regular large. Loaded with any 3 of your favorite toppings, all for just $12.99. Now that's huge. The Grand Papa Pizza with your choice of any 3 toppings for $12.99. Call or order online.
Better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's.
More than a world of time.
2010. Pay 0 interest till 2010. 3 big days this weekend. At More Furniture for Less. Make no down payment and pay 0 interest till 2010. Today, tonight, and tomorrow. This weekend at More Furniture for Less.
Finally, it was a dream come true for one high school student in Fresno.
Our prom queen for 2007, Johnny Vera.
Johnny Crystal Vera made history last weekend at Roosevelt High School. He was the first transgendered person to get the title and be crowned prom queen.
And he's multifaceted. Vera is also a cheerleader and was class vice president. He said anything is possible if you truly believe. That's our news for tonight. Thanks.
We hope you have a wonderful weekend. Hi, John.
Oh,
It's
that's
Friday.
right.
Wait a minute. I got one other thing. It's that wonderful day in between Thursday and Saturday. Oh, boss, you have lost control. I am giddy. It's Friday.
Transgender weatherman.
He's going to come back and knock you for that one.
Not going to go there, Paul. You behave yourself now, okay?
That does it for us. We hope you have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for being with us.
Good night.